pertaining to the election.
Then we give question appointment.
A question.
Okay, for the rules of procedures for vote for the, to appoint for the village trustees, it was asked to read a portion of the procedure rules. Written questions may be submitted to the village council prior to the special council meeting by council members, and they are to be addressed verbally by the candidates. 3 questions. These questions may be general, to be addressed by the candidates, or specific, to be answered by the candidate to whom it is addressed. Oral questioning by council members during the special council meeting is permitted. In this case, it's the regular council meeting, as you all know. Vote of the council will be made by paper ballot to include the council member's name and vote, and to be read by the clerk. Votes of 4 council members are required to fill a vacancy. Ballots are to be retained and included as part of the minutes of the special meeting, in this case, the regular meeting. In case of the tie vote between 2 candidates, an additional 3 rounds of voting can be taken at the meeting. If the tie remains after 3 rounds of votes, the council may either postpone the vote until a future regular meeting or choose to leave the position open until the next scheduled election. Vacancies occurring within 90 days of the next scheduled general election will not be filled prior to the election. So
Any
that's,
questions?
Okay, so all 4 of us have to agree on
Yes.
each candidate.
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
So, I mean, this is an opportunity to ask questions, so,
I'm a little concerned that the 3 that are removed from the list are ineligible. I'd like to make sure they're ineligible, but I just found out at the meeting, so.
I mean, Jim, you want to comment on what
For sure they're not eligible.
Well, the one, in the case of Cassie Droney, she withdrew her name.
Okay, and Darlene never submitted a letter of interest?
I did.
we never got it, that I'm aware of.
I emailed it.
Never got it.
Yeah.
I actually emailed it to you.
Really? I don't see it.
Yeah.
I don't think I have it. I mean, if I did, I didn't see it, so. So, I mean, I have no problem. We can certainly consider her tonight if you don't object.
We have to go through the checklist, so that would be probably not acceptable, because we have to have our checklist ready.
Yeah, we have to.
We have to, and then done by our attorney.
Well, this, we just add the name.
No, the requirements for our attorney is that you have to be a registered voter in the village of Calumet. We have to verify that. You have to be a resident, you have to live here. You have to be current on all your taxes,
Well, that's not an issue.
okay? And you have to have your sanitation, snow removal, or any fees owed to the village paid. If you
Not an
don't-
issue.
I don't know anything.
I mean, yeah, and you are registered.
Well, we have to
vote,
verify.
Are
We
you
don't
registered?
know. We don't know.
My concern is that your application was not received.
And I apologize. I did not see it, so.
And so it would not be fair to the other candidates who did submit their applications to the office here. So,
Did you fill out one of those forms that you got? Because it says you have to send it to the village clerk.
I think it was
Yeah,
the letter.
yeah, because it does say the
I was
village
just
clerk.
told to send a letter.
Who were you told that by?
Multiple people.
Okay, well, it has to go to the clerk, and then, then it goes from there. And the deadline was the 24th at 4 p.m., so, nothing against you, but if we start this
No.
again, we've got a problem.
No, and I definitely think you should vote for the people who met the criteria, and I'll just continue to be active in the community
Sure.
without being a council.
There's an election in November.
Thank you.
All right, so just do them one at a time. So,
And then the other 2 were sure that they're not.
so
there's,
Who would-
Nathan Anderson with.
okay, so,
Nathan Anderson.
on this ballot, only Nathan should be removed.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Jim, do you need a copy?
And then again, Cassie Droney has withdrawn, Julie Johnson,
No.
he's not eligible.
Great, okay, she's not eligible.
Right.
The only one from this list.
Julia, your real property taxes owed provided a letter to her at her residence indicating that the taxes were paid by 4 today. But I contacted and if she presented proof, then she could be considered. If she hasn't presented proof, and I called the treasurer's office at 4 today, and her taxes were still owed. So
All right.
On her residence or her business?
on 108 Fifth Street.
That's the business.
There's taxes due for 2016 and 17. And then
Plus,
back-
whatever renewal is not being.
See, that's a fuzzy area. I don't know if I could remove her.
Well, what's funny about that is if you say you don't want it, you have the right to not take that service, but you don't, if you don't let the village know, same with sanitation, and you use that service, then you were required to pay for it. That's the way the law works.
But, yeah, that doesn't apply to Julie Johnson.
No, it doesn't apply to her at all.
Julie Johnson, there are real property taxes that must be paid
Right.
for her to qualify, and they are not paid. There's just no question about it.
So my next question is, how many of our applicants are in the audience? I see Mr. Mihalich, I see Ms. Kane.
Andrew,
I see
yeah.
1, 2, 3, so we have 4. So we have 4.
Andrew Bain is not present.
Andrew's
Okay,
not
so we
here.
can't ask him
Is
questions.
he going to be eligible and live in
I-
the village after
No,
the
no.
pilot is?
Joe contacted him, and he continues to be a resident of the village until he can get his place fixed. He's staying with his mother in Boston location. But I don't think that we can disqualify him on the basis that his residence was damaged by fire, at least temporarily, out of the residence.
Okay, so he should stay on the list.
Is he required to be here at this meeting? No.
No, he's not required to be.
No.
Were they all contacted to be here? Was Andrew being contacted to be at the meeting? Yeah?
Should I put not present? Yeah. his name?
Okay.
Yeah, so.
He chose not to show.
Okay.
All right, so we'll just start with the first candidate, and you know, you can address questions to them. So, Paul, unfortunately, you're the first name on the list. So, you want to stand up, introduce yourself?
We're not going to alphabetical order or anything?
No.
We just have him down there.
And again, it would be helpful if you gave
Where
us a
do you
little.
stand? Just stand right here?
That's fine, yeah. If you want to give us a little bit of your background and tell us why you're interested in being on the council.
Well, I'm Jeffrey Paul Malich. Everybody knows me as Paulie, or Paul Jr. I was raised here. I wasn't born here. I was born in Texas, but some of you don't know. But I came up when I was 2 years old, and I was raised up here. This is my home. This is my life. So, graduated from high school, did the scholarship thing, didn't turn out for me. Went into the service. Spent 13 years in and out of the service. Doing contracts, working with KBR, working with Dynacorp, working with PAE, working with Southport International, all those high companies and stuff. So I've seen the corporations of the world, I've seen the disasters, I've seen bad things, I've seen the corruption, but I've also seen the good that our military has done over there, the good that the military still does over there. And then I came back, and I've been around the world 4 times, and I figured, I've seen every desolate place in this world, and I wanted to come back to only one place, and this is where I came back. Because I care about this place. And, I could be making 6 figures or whatever out there in the world, but no, I came back here because I've seen the world. I don't like what I see, so I like what I see here. I know the person down the street. I know a person at the grocery store. I know a person at Bucko's. I know, a person at the dollar store. My next door neighbor says hi every morning. And I wave to him without getting shot. That's good. That's always good. So that's me in a nutshell. Politically, I'm as bright as you can be. I'm a Republican, but I'm also in the middle. I've seen everything over there that we are doing and stuff, but as a military member, you can't be one side or the other. You can't be black or white. You got to be gray, because those people need as much help as the guy next to you. And as he does right here, this is our uniformed officer. He does the same thing. He's got to be right in the middle. So I understand where he comes from, and that's where I come from. I'm right in the middle. You're getting me leaning right a little bit, but I'm also willing to listen. I listen to people. I've had to listen to people. I've had trainees and privates. I don't know if you've had privates before, but they're 22 and 23-year-olds that think that they own the world, as I thought I did. And you have to just teach them, and you have to mentor them. You have to say, hey, this is the way to go. Let's do it this way. But you also have to listen to it. You have to be compassionate. And that's what I want to be. I want to be for this group. I want to be for the village of Calumet. It's just a middle person that's, I'm going to get the job done. I want to be there in every point and aspect of this place. I want to know everything. I want to dig in my hands and everything. Grab it. I'm energetic like that, and that's what I've done. That's what I'll continue to do. Thank you.
Wait,
All right,
wait.
yeah, trustees get to ask your questions.
Oh, you guys have asked a question.
Yeah.
Before you sit down, do you think committees are important? And if so, would you attend both committee and council meetings regularly and spend time doing your own independent research?
Of course, you're going to have committees that are for this and for that. I strongly support committees, support people gathered. I support that. I support people getting team. I worked with a team all my life. I worked with a team over there. You have to have a team effort to accomplish a mission. And if you have somebody leading the way, it makes it easier to do. So I support that as long, and doing my own little thing, of course, I'll be there, but I'm going to contribute to what I've done too. I'll be like, hey, this is what I got over here. Can you listen to me for a little bit? And contribute to the community or the community. So yes, I do a group. I do support communities.
And what strength do you have to help improve the village? For instance, is there a particular pet project you'd like to see implemented?
I'd like to see the desolate buildings as the projects. I remember as a little kid, I used to see the buildings and they used to keep out, probably Miss Patricia or anybody chases out there, don't go in there, we got, my brother got kicked out of Morrison School because he had keep out signs and stuff. But there's some places around here that don't have keep out signs. And I've seen them and they're falling apart and it just makes me scared because there's kids out there today that are just running, going back and forth at nighttime and stuff too. And they can go into these buildings. I got one over there on 4th Street. And I don't like to see it. I know we're trying to, I know y'all are working it. And I just want to see that'd be my pet project, is go around and, I don't know if we issue fines or whatever and say, hey, give them a little kick in the butt to get this up and running, let's do something about it. But that's my own pet project. That's what I'd like to see.
Maybe anything else?
I have a question.
Well, I could ask
Yeah.
7 more of each of them, but I don't know what kind of time frame we want. Do we want to move the meeting along tonight or?
Well, no. I mean, people should ask the
You ask the
question.
questions,
Yeah, people
Okay.
should ask the question.
Yeah, go around the tables. Yeah.
Right? I'm so happy for you to be talking about blight, because we just recently, that's why I ran for council. I've worked here for 46 years, and I've seen things just fall apart. And in my opinion, there's no reason why you can't be a responsible, good neighbor and make an attempt to keep your property nice. We recently passed a blight ordinance, and there's also Leopold Zane, along with an advisory committee, are doing a wonderful job trying to get blight dangerous buildings addressed in the downtown district, not necessarily the residential. Our biggest stumbling block right now is we've got the ordinance in place, and we gotta make it move, okay? So I'm really happy to hear you say you wanna make this thing move.
I'll be a pit bull. You want me to go out there and tell them? I'll be a pit bull every day. I don't like to see kids in danger and stuff. I saw plenty of it over there. I don't want to see it in our own town.
I'm glad to hear you would like to be a part of getting, the procedure in order to do this right and, be firm, fair, and consistent with everybody in this village. That's awesome, because that's the one thing that'll make or break this place is visual. What it looks like, and you're spot on with that, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Sandy, you got a question?
I know you from when you were young. You was one
going to find obstacles. Majority might not agree with you, but you have to think about what's best for the village. And sometimes it's hard when people don't agree in your thinking, but you have to accept their opinions and vote your heart and your knowledge. That's the only thing I have to say to you, Paul.
Thank you. You got something else?
The present attorney does a portion of the legal work that the village needs done, and the DDA at the present time wants to hire a separate attorney. Do you think we should have more than one attorney representing the village on the issues?
Are the attorneys from contracting firms, or are they from the same firm?
No, Jim does his voluntarily.
Okay, so they're.
And so the DDA is interested in hiring an attorney that can specifically review on blight-related ordinances to determine if they conform to state law, if there are any weaknesses in them, shortcomings. So that's, and this person is paid on a per hour basis.
Well, from my experiences and stuff, when you do stuff in-house, when you have people do stuff in-house, and you have a guy who's an expert at your stuff that does it in-house, then things get done, and you know him. You can go, hey, say, hey, Bert, what's going on, man? This. With another guy on the outside coming in and getting into our circle, he's gonna be like, oh, wait, and then it just slows the process down, I believe. If you have somebody who does get it done in-house, and we can get it done in-house and save that money, I'm all about just having one person do it.
Can I interject here, because you're not getting the whole picture here, and I'll explain it to you. Mr. Tertia does everything pro bono for us, but he's made it real clear that he's retired like everybody else, and that he's not gonna have time to do this. So it was with his blessing that an advisory committee was formed, and they secured funds from, Lee, I guess, could help me with this, the National Park?
The National Historic Advisory Commission, the DDA board.
Right, and they're gonna pay for it, it's not out of the coffers, so it's an in-kind thing. If you want.
There's lots you'll have to learn.
Yeah.
So but it's an outside entity coming in.
Right, because with his blessings.
With his blessing.
Yes,
Okay, so as long as
and no village money.
Yeah,
No village
if
money.
he gives his blessing and we trust him already, then I'm all about it. I'm all about somebody who works for us already and says, hey, I trust this person, I trust these people, let's go with them. As long as he says, not me, I don't know anything about it, so I can't just give him a blessing because I don't know anything about it.
Okay, and then the second part of my question, I should make it multiple parts, 5 parts for each question.
We don't have time.
Okay, let's go. Yeah, the zoning board of appeals, and zoning has become real important these days. Everybody's revising their zoning, and we're talking Airbnbs and things in different neighborhoods. If the council passes an ordinance that's already been drafted, making the council the zoning board of appeals, instead of having the zoning board of appeals, that would eliminate one step in the appeal process. Would you be in favor of keeping a zoning board of appeals or having that duly go to the council? So instead of the zoning board to the council, it just goes straight to the council, any decisions that were appealed.
So skipping a step is what you're saying?
Right,
It's like-
instead of a 3-step process, it'd be a 2.
Can I save you a little bit? I think before we ask him the intricate questions, he has to learn what the zoning board of appeals is. He's got to learn these things, because you're asking him questions that,
But again,
yeah.
people are allowed to ask me
I
questions.
understand, but I'm afraid of what he's going to answer, he doesn't really know what it is.
Posed to people who don't have experience.
Yes.
They'll
They'll
these
get
folks will come
experience.
up the
They'll
learning
learn.
curve
Mm-hmm.
in short order, and they'll be
Right.
far better equipped to answer these questions than to be
Right.
faced with
It is-
questions
He
about
doesn't
which they
know
have
what it
no
is.
background.
Right, it's a very specific question, so it's up to you, Peggy, though, if you want to withdraw your
Yeah,
question,
you wanna
that's
ask the
fine,
question, that's
but
fine.
you certainly have to answer it.
I think that's
Are you
not
in
terribly
favor
fair.
of multiple steps, or do you like a shortened form for
If there's,
decisions?
I mean, that's kind of a little clear. If there's multiple steps, I want to know what the importance of the steps are. And if there's taking a step out, then, you know, and it's gonna speed along the process, I wanna know what that zoning is for. So I wanna know what the zoning is. Is it a business zoning? Or is it a residential zoning?
Let me tell you, if you get on the council, you're not gonna like a lot of questions that come your way.
Well,
And
then,
I like your answers, thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
Does anyone else have questions?
thank you for
All
applying.
right, thank you.
And good luck with your name.
thank you.
Good luck.
Okay, Roxanne. So again, if you want to introduce yourself, tell us about yourself, tell us why you're interested in being on the council, especially you've been here several times and I'm still amazed you're still here.
Well, my name is Roxanne King. I grew up in Lower Michigan. I came up here to go to Michigan Tech the same time as my friend Colleen Cody, who has, I moved into the village and she said, you have to be on the village council. And I was like, we'll see. So this is all Colleen's fault. The reason I'm up here is that I decided I wasn't going to be an engineer and went into business, but my husband graduated from Michigan Tech and is a computer security expert. And it evolved that he could move up here and work out of a home office and bring his job with him. And we've been coming up here every summer just on vacation. We really love the area and can stand the winters. And so we did that. And we bought a White House at 8th and Elm last fall. And we got the porch reinforced just in time for the flood, and I just don't even want to think about what would have happened if we hadn't done it. And I love the village of Calumet. I am kind of on the side of you should turn it all into one greater Calumet entity, because I'll tell you, when we were moving up here, my husband's company, because they were recruiting so many Michigan Tech grads, were seriously considering putting in an office. It's been tabled, but that's another story. At the time, they were looking for a site to build an office. And they discovered, when they came up the hill, that they didn't know if they were in the village of Calumet, the village of Lorraine, the historical district, the Calumet Township, Osceola Township. They didn't know. And they kept getting conflicting answers on, was there going to be power? Was there going to be high-speed internet? Was there going to be, what kind of taxation was going to be involved? And they determined, before they determined not to come here at all, but that may come back next year, we don't know, that they weren't coming up here because there was too much confusion about what they could do where. And they were looking instead down at Adams Township and areas south of Houghton as where they would build rather than out here. So that's one data point, and that's that you might want to consider, even if you don't become a single entity, agreeing with Orium and the township about what the rules are if you're bringing in a high-tech firm. Okay, that's done. We intend to be here for the duration. We have this house here, we have 10 acres of land up by Eagle Harbor, which we're likely to build on, due to issues of internet non-accessibility out there. Looks like that's going to turn into a weekend house, quote unquote, and this will be our main house here until they get internet out in Eagle Harbor, and we're not holding our breath. That I have two sons, one's at Michigan Tech, the other one is he has Asperger's syndrome, and I'm very proud that he is living in his own apartment in Houghton and looking at a ton of foods. They told me it would never happen. Ha!
committees are important, and would you attend both committee and council meetings regularly? And do
Yeah.
your own research?
Absolutely. If you don't have committees, then you have to have the entire board educated and knowledgeable on all of the topics of all of the subcommittees. And I just don't think you can do that. You can't know everything about streets and everything about hiring and firing and everything about fire and everything about public safety or whatever all the committees are. You need to focus on one, even if it's not your first choice, and let other people do the other ones. If you start trying to have the entire board be knowledgeable on all those things, they're going to get overwhelmed and give up entirely. It's much better to have, if you have 7 committees, have each council member have a committee, and then assume that you can, kind of roughly double check, but trust that it's been looked into. And
That'd be a time saver.
yes.
Okay, Burge?
I have no questions.
Okay.
No, the same one you had for,
I don't have to ask the same question, maybe. I've talked to this lady, and she's I'm good.
All right. Sandy?
Right now, what would you like see changed in the village? What is your number one priority?
I would say the number one priority for me would be to get businesses of any kind into Fifth Street so that it doesn't look vacant. Even if it, whatever, get something in there so that it looks like things are happening right now. The first 2 blocks are great, and then it looks like a ghost town. And even if they were all bars, you were busing kids from the tech students up to go bar out, that would be better than vacancy.
thank you. Yes, thanks.
All right. Peggy?
What strengths do you have to help improve the village? For instance, would there be a pet project that you'd like to implement?
I don't have any pet projects at this point. I like the other pet projects I'm hearing about, like the renovation of the depot and the creation of the pocket parks and artwork stuff, and they're fun, but I don't have one right now. My main strength has been bookkeeping and accounting. That's what my career has been, and I expect that's what I understand most. That's what I'm most familiar with, but I'm not going to come in and rework the budget either.
Unless you have to, Dave.
Unless I have to.
So, Sandy or Burge, anything else? Peggy, anything else?
No. That was great. Thanks.
Thank
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right, Andrew is not here. The other Andrew is not here this evening. Andrew Bain is not here this evening. So is it Darius? How am I pronouncing that correct? How should I pronounce it?
It's Darius.
Darius.
I
Okay.
know it's spelled really badly, and blame my mother for that.
All right.
But she thought, it's spelled like Alice, so, everybody's gonna know it's Darius.
All right, so it's accent. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So again, if you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in serving on the council and what particular strengths you might bring to it.
Okay. My name is Darius Taylor. I have a hard time saying this first word. I'm a retired teacher, newly retired. I love saying I'm a teacher. I used to teach special ed. I was a math teacher before that, but most of my career was special ed. And in that field, I was teaching students with emotional and behavioral problems. So people told me that I took the hard bite, the big bite, but I loved it. I thought it was easy, and I think that played to my strengths. And my strengths would be that when I see something that needs to be done, there has to be a way to get it done. And we just dig in and we find the answer and we get it done. My big thing for Calumet is that I look at it like almost like an outsider. I'm born and bred in the UP. I've been coming up to the Copper Country from Crystal Falls forever. I'm not going to tell you how long. But I come up here, and I would come up here and I live here because I love the history of the place. My grandfather was a miner, and so I appreciate what the past is, what people in the past in this area put into this. People like to say the Heckler and Calumet, made the area, but no, it was the miners who made the area. The people who came up here to work for them and stayed and sacrificed hugely so they could have families here. And not just the winters either. I mean, it's the job. I would never want to be a miner. I'm so appreciative of those people who came here and did that so this village could exist. I also appreciate the fact that it is a village, and it's its own village, and it's part of the Keweenaw historical thing, and it's like, this is a real honor, When the meetings that I would come to and I would listen, I would kind of get lost going, wow, this has been going on for over 100 years just like this, in this building, and this is part of history, and someday people are going to be looking back at this board and saying, that was history,
Sure was.
It's part of history. And I think that's a calling to be able to take on that part of it. It is perpetuating the history of the place and what it stands for. And I think that if I were on the board, the thing that I would probably be most interested in, and you would find me trying to get it done, and then we'd have to figure out how to do it, is this place has to become appealing to people other than people who go, wow, it's a great historical place. Look at these great buildings, look at this, look at that. You want people to come here and go, this is a place where I can raise my family. This is a place that has future. This is a place that, they're appreciative of their history. They're not going to ruin their history, but they're going to stand up for everything that went into the fact that this village exists. But they're also going to say there has to be a way that we can bring current technology in and retain the flavor of the place. There has to be a way in a society like ours now, where you can work online from anywhere in the world. And why can't we do that in Calumet? Why can't we create something? I don't know how to do it. So, I'd figure out how to do it. That would be my pet project. I would figure out how we could entice people to come up here, but we'd have to have the structure in place first so that they could come up and say, yeah, I can work up there and be employed in New York, or whatever. But there has to be a future here for people who have, dare I say it, money, education, a love for the traditional values maybe, a place they're looking for to raise their families. And they're going to have money. Those people are going to have money. If they have businesses like in the cities who are willing to let them come up here and work, or if they're freelancing, whatever, they're going to bring their money with them. They're going to bring their kids with them. The kids are the future. I mean, that sounds like a teacher, but the kids are the future. If you don't have kids, you don't have a future. And so we need to entice people up here who want to raise their families up here. And they can do it without having to scrimp and scrape and give up a whole lot of the lifestyle that they're used to. And so I would like to see Calumet do that. I would like to see them retain their past, their traditional values, and yet have a mind open for the future and create that which is needed so that people can come here and keep the village going.
Right, so questions, Peggy?
Once again, do you think committee meetings are important on council and do you attend regularly?
Committees are very important. If you don't have a committee, you have to attend to every single itty-bitty, every one of us on the, every one of you on the board has to know exactly what's going on in the streets. Exactly what is this list here? We've got streets, public works, finance, ordinances, personnel, public buildings, public safety, sanitation, and that's just the list here. I don't know if that's the whole list or not, but I don't want to know everything about everything on every one of those, you know, but I do want to know something about at least one of them and dig into it and be the person somebody can go to and say, hey, what about this or what about that? And I would know, I'd be able to tell them the answer. Not because I want to be a know-it-all, but because people want to know and they need to be able to go someplace. So, yeah, committees are important. Without the committees, you have to know way too much. Would I be willing to be on a committee? Absolutely. And there's a third part of that question. What? Oh, extra time. Yeah, I know all about extra time. I'm a teacher. So I wouldn't have submitted my letter if I didn't think that there was a whole lot of extra time that was probably going to go into it too.
Urge?
Boy, you were so eloquent. I'm not sure I have any questions for you. Sounds like,
I was thinking that about them.
don't feel bad about retired. Retired. I don't know. Just retired. So yeah, yeah. So, and I appreciate somebody that's retired that wants to put some time and effort in. That's great because you know we all live here.
Yeah.
We all want it to look better.
Yeah, exactly.
We all want it to, you know, be a good place for your, like I have kids that live far away and they'd love to come back here and live, but they can't because there's no jobs, there's no good standard of life for them and what they do in their lives, so. So I appreciate, whatever you said, I agree with 100%.
Sandy?
I don't have any questions. You stated what
Yeah, that was
I'm thinking, and I feel that you have an open mind
I do.
to what will go on.
Yeah, I
If
didn't
you
address
sit
that.
on the council.
Yeah, I didn't address that. I'm sorry. You have to prove something to me before I'm going to vote on
You
it.
did address it, you just didn't think you did.
Okay.
You did a good job.
And thank you for applying.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, so Peggy may have other questions.
Oh,
Sorry.
Peggy may have another question? Oh, I'm sorry, Peggy.
That's
Well,
okay.
you said as far as your strength, you try and figure out how to get people to come up here and want to stay and
I
thrive.
would love to figure that out. It would be very time intensive, I think, though. But, you know, as long as we don't want it done next week, you know, I'd be willing to do that. It's going to be almost a culture change. And it would be, not that everything has to change, but that, like I said, we could roll with the past into the future and retain what we're supposed to be standing for.
Everybody should be welcome here.
Any more questions? Anyone? No?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrew? And again, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in being on the council and what strengths you bring to it.
Hi, Andrew Ramsdale. Some of you guys know me. I've been coming up to the area since 2011. I run an arts foundation here in Calumet. And I lived in London for about 10 years in the UK. That's where I did my master's. I'm an artist myself, arts administrator, educator. And I fell in love with the area. I moved from London. People were like, oh, you come to New York? You moved to New York, LA, you know, somewhere else like that? And I was like, no. I'm like going to move to the UP. I'm going to move to the best part of Michigan, back to my home state of Michigan. And I chose Calumet because, you know, I was here a big chunk out of the year running this arts foundation and, you know, fell in love with the place, you know, saw a lot of possibility. And it made me think just, you know, I wanted to address, I'm going to try to be quite brief because I know meetings can run a long time, but I just wanted to address something that Jim brought up. Shame he's not here still, but, you know, he said this place, this village, you know, Calumet has a potential like beyond imagination. And I'm going to disagree with it in the nicest way possible because it's not beyond imagination. Like, I am an artist, I feel imagination, and my work is to make those really amazing imaginations possible a reality. And so I've been seeing that since like 2011, like what could happen here, like why I chose to move here. My career, like I'll never be retired. I appreciate that people who get a chance to be retired and plug into the community and the village here, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to spend the time to like really work and make the place as great as possible. But my career means I won't ever be retired, but that I think is a
real asset to what I could bring to the council, which is, you know, background in the arts and art education and art facilitation, to make this place, which already has a unique arts community, into a place where that traditional kind of arts and more contemporary can really bring together and support a lot of great businesses and people coming together here. And so, you know, when I hear that, like, you know, it's beyond imagination. I'm really like, no way. I've been like visualizing it since I've been coming up here, 2010 and 2011, and then now moving here, you know, last year. So I'm really excited if I had the opportunity to work with people on the council and then also the public to, you know, make that, you know, thing that might be beyond some people's imagination to like a reality. And the way I like really want to do that is through just real openness, transparency, and open communication, like everybody on this council, but then also all the members of the public as well. So just to have that openness and transparency would be really key for me. And then the final thing I just want to say is a bit of just, you know, FYI, kind of housekeeping. Some people know that this arts administration work that I do for the organization I run up here, this is like the absolute like busiest time for me. I actually just got our first artist in residence the other day, and they had quite a welcome to the area their first night. But their partner, who was visiting for the first 2 days, just got bumped in their flights because they're having struggles down in Chicago. So I will actually have to leave like by 8 to pick them back up and facilitate with them. So just, you know, I feel bad if I have to leave, but basically this is like really hard time for me to like wear all the hats. But this is one hat I would really love to wear and be honored to wear. So yeah, that would be a consideration.
So Peggy, question?
The importance of the committees, would you attend committees and council regularly? Are you able to devote the time necessary?
Yes, definitely. I would devote the time necessary for any committee that I was on and for the council meetings. My answer will differ slightly in the fact that because this is such a small village and there's so many committees that are specialized, and I think a lot of people who are engaged with these committees are on multiple committees. I'd be interested in the mere fact of for expediency, transparency, and openness to maybe consider some sort of consolidation to maybe make things work more effectively. Obviously, that'd be, you know, on a case-by-case, committee-by-committee approach. But I think because the committee sometimes have members that don't always attend, or multiple, you know, council members or members of the community are on multiple committees, that there would be a strong case for maybe consolidation, just to make things work maybe more efficient. But yes, I believe they are important, and council members are important.
Verge?
I'm not sure I have any questions for you. You seem like you're committed to living here, you're committed to the community. I like that. Your glass is more than half full, which I really appreciate. And thank you for coming.
Sandy?
What would you like to see us improve in our village?
I think the first thing that we would do if I was on the council would basically to, you know, restore the faith of all members of this community in the actual government, the village government. Because a lot of the things that seem like just a little bit of hang-ups here and there and some, you know, ruffled feathers or a little bit of friction. And maybe the reason why there's really only 3 members of the, you know, council right now, that would be a really big priority, I think, is addressing that, like making sure that we have an effective government that listens to everybody and you know, a council that is strong and a public that really, you know, entrusts us to do the work that we need to do. And then obviously that's just the beginning, but then there are like projects that other people have mentioned, like the blighted buildings and things. I mean, I tirelessly already, I have many projects already in action. Like I tirelessly have been recruiting people from friends and young artists and people who would have families, people in their 30s, you know, that want to maybe move up here, show them the possibility. And, you know, finding ways to do that, by showing them that, you know, it's worth it to buy a building here, to fix it up, be part of this unique, amazing place. You'd have a building in a national historic park. You'd have a building in a historic downtown, which is incredible. Like, it's got a magic to it. Like, everybody can attest to that. And there's ways to do that. Another pet project, I'm going to put Joe Snow in touch with Peninsula Fiber Network. Not a lot of people know that we have one of the highest fiber networks. You know, all opening the business, AT&T and Comcast or Spectrum, they're always like bombarding you with something in the mail every day, but there's actually a fiber network, which is probably some of the fastest internet like in the entire country, that stops in a loop, like past the Coliseum and the subway. And they just didn't extend it up 5th Street, down 6th Street. And they, if we had 5 businesses, 6 businesses that would sign on, we could get that. And that would be a huge boon to get new business up here. Feel like we have some of the fastest fiber network in the entire country. And there's no reason that we wouldn't be able to make that happen and help invite people, invite the company to like do that. And we spoke with them, but there's things out there, and I've been doing the research, and I just need to basically, work with more people to put those things through, and I'd be happy to help them.
And thank you for that.
Thanks for applying, that's for sure.
So Becky, you have a question?
Do you have a particular strength that you could use to improve the village, and a pet project that you're already
Well,
focusing on?
yeah, that's one pet project. I mean, my background is an arts administrator and also working a lot with contemporary artists. I mean, I've brought in, since 2012, 2013, we've had over 70 artists, scientists, researchers, writers, poets, and stuff who have come through, and this is the place that we stop, and this is the place where these artists and people who participate in this arts program that I run interact with the local community, and they've constantly come back. They've become ambassadors to this area. They've come back to this area. They talk about it so glowingly. They spend their money here. We get provisions and supplies for them to go on this remote residency, but this is like the mainland stopover. And so it's by being a person that brings those people in, but then also really wants to support the people that already live here, there's a really beautiful mesh that can happen, and I think that's what I'm become really, really good at, not only from my own arts background, but as an arts facilitator, community facilitator, basically bringing really diverse views and people and interdisciplinary dialogue together to make a place, to like really develop a sense of place. And I think this village and this area, the whole area already has this really strong sense of place, but it has like this potential that is, it's not necessarily beyond imagination, because I can see it, and it's amazing, and I know it's possible.
I'm glad that you were able to immediately notice that this area just attracts the most talented artists, writers, crafters. I'm like in awe when I see the work that these humble people do, and it's just fabulous, and they could go anywhere in the world and go toe-to-toe with any of the other artisans, and we've been rather sheltered and provincial, and I think that's why the community is so safe, and we support each other, and there's just been of late a spirit of unwillingness to listen to other people. I was sad to hear the question of should the village dissolve or not. Let me tell you, we've been talking about it since 1958. Read the Better Business Minutes. And I see no problem in asking the people, what do you want? I think the power belongs to the people. Maybe they don't want it, and if they don't want it, let's stop talking about it. And if they do, let's do something about it. But we've got to listen to each other and be respectful. And as long as we do that, then everybody will feel welcome and valued. Because sometimes you learn from a child something that an adult that's got their PhD hasn't been able to even think about. So I really appreciate all of you being interested in trying to help the community, and keep in mind this is the perfect golden opportunity to test out if you like being on a council. Because if you don't, in November there'll be an election, and you don't even have to file a petition by July 24th. You can just be done, and you can say, I didn't like it, or I love it, and then file your nominating petition. And that. So this would just give you a way to get your feet wet. And you do live in the best nation in the world, your own imagination. And I think it's fabulous.
Can I just close by just saying one thing? I know that wasn't a question, but just as one artist who came through in 2014 and has already been back multiple times, he said, I just wanted to address like, this fact that there's this history here that's really amazing, but that the artists now have a real opportunity to make it a special place. It's got this amazing history connected to industry, but like this kind of industry of culture is like a real growth industry. It's something that like Calumet can do so well. And he said it's left this area's been left in an extended period of self-reflection. And like what we do now is like have that open dialogue, have that open communication, show people how awesome it is and what we really want to do. And that extended period of self-reflection will end in like a really amazing kind of prosperous moment that should continue.
Any other questions? Okay. So you should have ballots in front of you, and your name should be on the top of. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have sets of ballots, right? Right. So again, you can vote up to 3 names, and then once everybody's done, yeah, Julie, if you want to collect them, and then. Sure.
Okay, do we use, because I have multiple ballots.
Okay,
That's
that's if we have a tie.
tie.
That's if we have a tie.
So I
So-
think it's just one.
Right, so one sheet, you can vote up to 3 names. You can vote 0, 1, 2, or 3.
Okay.
So, okay.
What do you mean, 0, 1, 2, or 3?
You don't have to vote for 3 if you
You
don't want to.
vote for anyone.
Right, yeah, you don't have to vote for anyone if you
I
don't
want to
want
vote for all of them.
to. Alright, I'm done.
How many positions have you filled?
3.
All 3, okay.
All right, is everybody done? Okay, Julie, you want to collect them? And then you have to read them off publicly so that people know.
And I do have to read the.
That's fine.
No secret ballots in Calumet.
We'll start with President Geisler, who voted for Roxanne King. Doris, I believe that's correct? Sorry. Darius Taylor and Andrew Randall. Trustee Germain voted for Jeffrey Mihelchin. Mihelchis. Roxanne King and Andrew Randall. And Trustee Sandy Johnson voted for Jeffrey Roxanne King, Darius Taylor, and Trustee Dwyer voted for Jeffrey Mihelich, Roxanne King, and Doris Taylor.
All right,
So, let's see.
only one individual got 4 votes, and that is Roxanne. So,
So I'm in. You're in.
you're in, yes.
Now we're gonna do it again.
So, we don't have a provision for voting again.
Well,
Yes, we do.
yeah.
Well, it's a tie, right, it was, if there was a tie.
There's a tie.
There's a tie.
Yeah, I mean, we can, so then the,
There's a tie between us and Jeff.
right. So then, yeah, so both Darius and Paul got 3 votes, so yeah, so I guess,
Another vote.
right, yeah, so we can,
Well, here's what I don't understand. I tallied it. Mr. Mihelich got 3. Darius Taylor got 3. Roxanne King got 4. And Andrew Granville got 2.
2, right.
So wouldn't it be the 3 highest vote getters? There is no tie there.
Yeah, that's fine, yeah, we can take another vote, yeah, I mean,
I'm just asking, what is a tie?
the rules of procedure specifically refer to a tie.
Okay.
So, but again, I mean,
Do we have to have 4 for each one, is my question.
Yes.
yes.
Okay, that's
yes.
the problem.
So
Okay.
all 4 of us have to agree, since
Okay.
there's only 4 of us here.
So we have to vote again.
Right.
Okay.
So who are we voting for now?
Obviously,
Well,
not
and you only vote for 2 because we've already filled 1 seat, so you
Yeah.
only vote for 2.
For Roxanne.
For 2.
Yes,
Yes, I don't.
yes.
And And how many rounds do you do before?
3, and then we
rounds?
stop.
Okay.
So if,
Whenever you're ready.
I'm ready.
So who are the choices?
okay, you can vote for Mahelich, Taylor, or Randall.
Or the-
You can only vote for
Not
2.
present.
Sorry?
No, we didn't, no.
Sorry?
He didn't get any votes.
Andrew
so I
Randall,
voted for him.
Andrew Randall, not Andrew Bain.
Yes. Andrew
Yeah,
Randall.
so it's Andrew Randall,
Right.
yeah.
So round 2, President Geisler voted for Darius Taylor and Andrew Randall. Round 2, Trustee Dwyer voted for Mahelich and Taylor. Round 2, Trustee Johnson voted for Mahelich and Taylor. And round 2, Trustee Germain voted for Mahelich and Randall.
Right, so again, we don't have anybody with 4 votes.
Yeah, nobody voted.
Nobody got 4?
Nobody got 4.
Nobody got for.
No. So we do one more round, and then that's it for tonight.
Okay, round 3. President Geisler voted for Taylor and Randall. Trustee Johnson voted for Mahelich and Taylor. Trustee Germain voted for Mahelich and Randall. And Trustee Dwyer voted for Mahelich and Taylor.
All right, so again, we have no one with 3 votes, so, I mean, if we want, we can do it again. Yeah, no one with 4 votes, I'm sorry. Yeah, so again, we can do it next month, after Roxanne is seated, and that may change things. So.
Great.
No pressure, no pressure. All right, so then the next question is, do we?
No, I'm on a diet.
Do we adjourn for a moment to swear Roxanne in, or, I mean, do you want to wait till next month? I mean,
Why not do it all?
It's not fair to Roxanne.
I agree.
Yay, you're
It's not fair to the
No.
village either.
Okay, so before you leave this evening, Roxanne, if you're able to stay
Yes.
through it, the clerk will swear you in, so.
You know, I wish that we would swear people in at a meeting properly, so everybody that's already been seated renews in their head the oath that they took. And we have a little pomp and circumstance. Instead, the only way to find out if people have taken the oath of office is to go in the office and check the book. And some people haven't, so
We could certainly do that.
I'd like to do it and swear in everybody and shake hands and.
So, okay, so under new business, we can swear Roxanne in at that point.
That means you have to stay.
Okay, so moving on, the next is a resolution to create a disincorporation commission. Whether you want to, Jim, do you want to talk about that for a minute?
So,